What everybody gets wrong about their greatest strength is that their greatest strength is hiding something really, really valuable. First off, why do people pay this man $250,000 to tell them their greatest weakness? Well, probably two reasons. Reason number one is that nothing weighs you down like a mind that isn't aware of what weakness it has. It's a blind spot. And then reason number two is that weaknesses are notoriously difficult to find, super tough to find. So I'm gonna walk you through how a strength, especially your greatest strength, can also be hiding your greatest weakness. So I'm going to walk through 7 different examples because I think examples are just the best way to actually show this rather than explaining. The most of us separate these two things, strengths and weaknesses. And when we go hunting for weaknesses, we look in obvious places like the things that we're really bad at. And that's why we miss the biggest one. And it hides inside the stuff that we do best. And for me, that's often strategy. So if I want to do something, I like strategizing about it, I like thinking about it, and I'd like to think that I'm decently good at it. But what ends up happening is that the actual doing part gets substituted for the thinking and the planning about it part. I don't know if you can relate to that. So I'd like to show you a few examples so that you might be able to find what yours might be. Now, these are going to be 7 characters, and you probably know them. And what I want you to pay attention to is A, of course, what is their strength? B, what is the weakness? And then the most important part is how do they figure it out? Because a lot of movies out there and books are about making that discovery. And usually it's really simple. It's not like it's incredibly unique every time. Usually it's turning off your greatest strength, which is really counterintuitive and really difficult for a lot of people, myself included, because you get used to relying on your great strength. And you think if you turn it off, then like, what are you without your greatest strength? So, okay, example number 1 is the Hulk, right? So he's the intense one, and he brings a lot of rage and raw power. And when it's on all the time, of course, he does all the things that he's supposed to be doing, like fighting the bad guys, but he ends up trashing things and he ends up hurting his own people. And so the move is that he can finally choose to switch that off. And when he can switch it off, of course, then he learns how to release it when he wants to. So on and off switch, that one's super basic. And the next one's Tony Stark, going along with the superheroes theme. So he's fiercely independent, super intelligent, highly capable, and it makes sense that when you're the most capable person in the room, you tend to rely on yourself. You become very independent, and that makes sense for most of the time. Like, why would you rely on other people when you can do things the best? And when you're the smartest, you know all the answers. But in those moments, those critical moments when you really should, and it would benefit you to rely on other people, and you don't, things can get really catastrophic. And so for Tony Stark, it was about learning when to shut that off and when to rely on the normal people out there. Okay, so the third one is Monica Geller from Friends. So she's the perfectionist, right? She's got these exacting standards, which is great when she's trying to plan a, world-class dinner or cook a meal or, bringing everybody together, making sure that everything's just fine. But when she keeps it on outside of all of that and she starts to critique her friends, then it gets terrible, it gets unbearable. And so with somebody like Chandler, she learns to let that go and let good enough be the answer. And person number 4 is Mr. Darcy. So Mr. Darcy has a read on people. He's got good judgment and he's usually right. And he's so confident in that though, that he ends up proposing to Elizabeth and he insults her whole family and her rank. And so she rejects him and it's really embarrassing. Now his coming back from that is when he turns off his pride and he fixes this disaster and he doesn't take any credit for it. And that puts him back into good graces. And it finally wins her over. All right, so person number 5 is Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes analyzes everything. Everybody is a puzzle to him. And if he wasn't able to turn that off all the time, then he wouldn't have Watson. He wouldn't be able to develop any kind of a relationship with Watson. So it's by virtue of the fact that he is able to turn that off sometimes that Watson can be around him, and that is an incredible duo. Character number 6 is Woody from Toy Story. So Woody is super loyal and he has this identity of being Andy's favorite. So he likes to be in the spotlight and be number 1. And then when Buzz comes along, that is threatened. And so he tries for most of the film to get rid of Buzz to discount him. And by doing so, he ends up being labeled a murderer and he gets cast out and lots of terrible things happen to him. And at the end, what brings it all back home, literally, is he puts that aside and he puts everything on the line in order to help Buzz and to bring him back home. So person number 7 is Walter White from Breaking Bad. Now, this guy is the driven achiever and he can't turn it off. So when he gets cancer, his friends offer to pay for his treatment, which gives him a really clean out. But instead of that, he turns that down, and then he starts cooking and running this entire enterprise until eventually it ends up destroying everything. So I suppose that's an example of someone who couldn't turn it off in the end. Okay, so why does this happen? Well, your strength is the thing that you lean on the hardest, and you stop questioning it. So if you run it all of the time, it ends up turning into its shadow form. And the research plays this out. So Hogan has what are called derailers, which is an overused strength becomes a weakness, which is what we've been talking about. And next we have Grant and Schwartz, and they have this idea of an inverted U, which is more of a good thing, helps you up to a certain point, and then it drags you back, which is kind of similar to the Greek idea of virtue, sort of a golden middle. So the failure here is really just being stuck in one position. It's your strength that doesn't have an off switch. So if you are somebody that possesses a great strength or multiple strengths, it may very well be the case that you can master some of your greatest weaknesses simply by learning when and how to turn off your greatest strengths.